In a near-future world where air pollution has reached alarming levels, people are forced to wear masks when they venture outdoors, and every home is required to have a filtration system. Ethera, a powerful corporation, has developed a drug called Airmedi that allows users to breathe freely for 6 hours without the need for a mask. However, this life-saving medicine is expensive, and only the privileged elite can access it. In a dimly lit laboratory, Solomon, a scientist working for Ethera, records a video in which he predicts that the company will soon begin rationing Airmedi. He foresees widespread desperation when this happens, and it is during this time that he plans to launch a controversial new trial. Solomon knows that increasing the dosage of his experimental compound could provoke a deadly immune response, but he believes the risks are worth it to ensure humanity's survival. Just then, an alert flashes on Solomon's screen: the last remaining green zone in the world has also succumbed to pollution. In 18 months, 83% of the global population will be at risk of exposure to lethal toxins. Solomon's colleague, Spider, notices that their lab is being watched. To protect their work, she suggests a clever idea: since a new party drug called Blue is gaining popularity, Solomon should color his compound in the same way. If the authorities catch them, they will assume the compound is a harmless recreational substance, and it won't be tested further. Meanwhile, Ella, a top model for Ethera, is grappling with the legacy of her late mother, who was also a famous model. After her mother's tragic death, Ella inherited her career, but the industry views her as a Nepo baby, and other models resent her. Ella keeps her supply of Airmedi hidden in a locket that once belonged to her mother. During a break at work, Ella receives a text from her boyfriend, Tully, who cancels their date, claiming to be too busy. Ella overhears other models gossiping about her. And in frustration, she texts her best friend, Gina, hoping to hang out. However, Gina is secretly meeting with Tully, and they are having an affair. Tully wants to come clean to Ella, but Gina reminds him that today is the anniversary of Ella's mother's death, and they should wait. Tully, eager to buy some drugs, visits a shady neighborhood to meet with a dealer, while Gina waits in the car. During a train ride, Ella complains to Gina about Tully's behavior. Gina invites Ella to a party, but Ella declines, still upset. As she waits for the train, a homeless man warns her that the toxic air is a divine punishment for humanity's environmental sins. Meanwhile, Tully, who is using a tracking app, finds the dealer's hidden location. While waiting for the dealer to prepare his order, Tully watches an interview on TV with Eric, the head of Ethera's research department. The discussion takes an unsettling turn when a mysterious caller named Lazarus questions the origins of Airmedi and suggests that the company will not be able to meet global demand. Unnerved, Eric ends the interview abruptly. While the dealer is distracted, Tully sneaks into a lab where Solomon and Spider are working. The compound they are developing has been colored blue, as per Spider's suggestion. Tully watches Solomon test the compound on himself and assumes it is a new party drug. After the compound is placed in a fridge, Tully steals a sample, thinking it will help him get high. Afterward, he picks up his drugs from the dealer and leaves undetected. Unknown to Tully, the person watching Solomon has now noticed both him and Gina. Eric returns to the lab and, in a fit of frustration, conducts an experiment on a rat. The rat dies almost immediately. His assistant, Angela, tells him that Lazarus's call has been traced to Luxembourg. Meanwhile, Eric's son, Max, contacts him secretly, informing him that he gave money to a homeless person. Eric scolds Max, calling people like him parasites. When the call is interrupted by Eric's ex-wife, who informs him they are moving, Eric worries about Max living in a dangerous area. Ella, at home, contemplates a magazine cover featuring her late mother with a baby version of herself. She feels the weight of the industry's obsession with her resemblance to her mother. Just then, Her father calls from another continent, asking her not to be alone today, but she hangs up on him. Later, feeling a wave of loneliness, Ella decides to attend the party. At the party, Gina and Tully sneak off to try the stolen compound in a bathroom. However, they are interrupted when Ella finds them together. A confrontation ensues, and in the chaos, Tully accidentally drops the compound. In a fit of anger and sadness, Ella drinks the entire compound. She later dances with Brian to make Tully jealous, but he remains indifferent. Moments later, Ella becomes violently ill and rushes into the bathroom, where she vomits on Brian's shoes. After insulting him, she collapses. Seconds later, she receives a text from Gina, asking to talk, but Ella ignores it. She fills the bathtub with cold water to calm herself down as her body burns with fever. Meanwhile, Tully realizes the compound is missing and begins searching for it. He is caught by Solomon and his thugs, who beat him until he admits to losing the sample. As they search the house, Ella hides underwater, and once the thugs leave, she emerges and reveals to Tully that she drank the compound. Tully rushes to inform Solomon, but when he returns, Ella has disappeared. The thugs refuse to believe Tully's story, so he pulls out a gun in a panic. The gun accidentally fires, and Tully collapses from his injuries. As the thugs leave to continue searching the house, Spider warns that the police are on their way. In the chaos, Tully regains consciousness and discovers Ella hiding on the ceiling. As Ella demonstrates newfound strength, she easily catches Tully as he slips. The pair attempts to escape, but Tully falls again and dies. Gina arrives and believes Ella pushed him. As she calls the police, Ella flees, jumping over a fence and collapsing in front of Brian's car, just as the police close in. Brian takes her away, unaware that a mysterious figure watching from afar has now taken an interest in Ella. At Brian's apartment, as he tries to take advantage of her, Ella wakes up and punches him away. Brian notices a strange claw-like growth on her arm, and in fear, he flees. Ella, increasingly concerned, realizes her mutation is progressing. In the bathroom, she cuts off the claw and rushes to the hospital, where her condition worsens. The nurse calls security, and Ella, fearing for her life, escapes by climbing the walls and hiding on the ceiling. She shares her remaining air meaty with a sick patient before fleeing. Meanwhile, Eric is alerted to the situation with Tully's death and Ella's transformation. He realizes she holds the key to a potential cure for the environmental collapse. Solomon and Spider find the claw at Brian's apartment and begin to piece together the mystery. Ella tracks down Gina, who runs away when she sees the changes in her friend. The two argue, and Ella, now increasingly powerful, shows signs of uncontrollable aggression. She agrees to meet with Solomon, but he and Spider plan to kidnap her, distracting her so they can take her. Gina, now unsure of who to trust, watches from afar. At Ethera's research facility, Eric oversees experiments on Ella's rapidly changing body, discovering that she can now breathe the toxic air, her mutations linked to an enzyme that could be used to synthesize more air meaty. Meanwhile, Solomon, who is still trying to free his formula from Ethera's corporate greed, is tortured in the basement. Eric offers Solomon a job, but he refuses. Solomon's goal is to ensure that everyone has access to the medicine, not just the wealthy elite. As Ella wakes up, she realizes she has become more than human, her face partially transformed, and her DNA altered. Eric manipulates her, promising to return her to normal once the experiments are complete. Ella, desperate, agrees to cooperate. But when she overhears Eric's plan to harvest her enzymes in a procedure that will likely kill her, she realizes that he has been lying all along. Her anger escalates, and she begins pounding on the glass of her containment room. Eric releases gas to subdue her, but Ella's escape plan is already in motion. Spider arrives at the facility, pretending to deliver supplies, while Ella fights her way through the building, using her new abilities to outsmart the guards. After freeing Solomon, Ella realizes the scope of her transformation and what Ethera has done to her. Solomon, meanwhile, unveils the truth behind Ermity's origins. The drug's main ingredient is derived from a rare species of dragonfly in Africa, a species that has gone extinct because of Ethera's operations. With the help of Solomon and Spider, Ella plots her next move, seeking freedom from Ethera's cruel